Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Manchester United opened up the Premier League against Fulham at Old Trafford on Friday, and of course, we have exciting players to look forward to in Joshua Zirkzee, Matthias de Ligt, and Nasser Mazraoui, who, in my opinion, should come in and start right away. Of course, there's a bit of, a discussion, a debate around Zirkzee, whether he's fit enough to start, etc. But we don't really have any other striker other than Rashford that can play up front, or Bruno or Ahmad as a false nine. I know Sancho is there as well, but he might be not part of the squad, especially if he's going to be going to PSG, which is the talk of the town. But of course, it's against a Fulham team that last season gave us a bit of problems at Old Trafford, let alone at Craven Cottage. And we certainly were not a very good team last season, not just because of injuries, but also because of certain individual performances that didn't help the team as a whole. But now, with De Ligt, Mazraoui, Zirkzee, and potentially a midfield signing, which won't be here before Friday, but definitely maybe after Friday and maybe ready for the next game in Ugarte, Sanderberg, who's another option that we're seeing, put out there by the media. But I'm interested to see what Ten Hag is going to do in this game. Honestly, these are the type of teams that we have to win without any doubt, in my opinion. There shouldn't be a case of, we should draw this game. No. The likes of Fulham, Bournemouth, etc., are teams that we need to be winning at home, especially. We need to make Old Trafford a fortress so that we put a bit of fear into the opposition before the game is even kicked off, so that they know they come into a place where, one, you're going to struggle to score a goal, and two, you are going to struggle to get chances. So the attitude needs to change first and foremost. And the way Ten Hag wants to play, there needs to be a sense of intensity from the very first whistle. We cannot start slow. We cannot try and find our way into the game. No, we have to make a statement. You know, for me personally, I think that top four and maybe a trophy, being the Europa League, the FA Cup again, maybe the Carabao Cup is always an option as a competition to win. But top four, getting Champions League and a trophy is what we should be striving for this season as the main objectives. Now, of course, if you win the Europa League, you're automatically in the Champions League. So that's another option for us in order to qualify for the Champions League for next season, which needs to be the focus. Yes, of course, we are Manchester United. Yes, we're supposed to be talking about winning the title, winning the league, winning the Champions League, etc. But where we are right now, we're not there. And if we do find ourselves in the title race this season, if we do find ourselves fighting amongst the top because of results and because we maybe have favorable results in terms of wins, and draws that might put us in a good position, then we can definitely talk about that when we get there and see exactly how we can react to it and maybe put it to a more positive side for us to end up maybe winning the Premier League. We have to be optimistic. We are fans first and foremost. We want our team to do well and win the biggest of trophies. We are Manchester United. We have won the biggest trophies, and that's where Ten Hag and Sir Jim and the rest of them all want to get Man United back to. So for this particular game, Ten Hag, in my opinion, needs to be seriously focused. And I say that, not saying that he isn't focused. No, I simply say that because last season, certain decisions that he made during the game kind of affected the team in a negative way, thus either making us lose the game, draw the game, or maybe not have that same intensity as we did before the changes were made. Certain players being brought on that was not needed to be brought on, the wrong type of player being brought on for the situation that we found ourselves in. But it's not the same this season because of the players that Ten Hag has available to his disposal. Now, of course, the only players, in my opinion, and from what I've read and seen, is basically Shaw, Hoyland, and Yoro are the only three that won't be available for this game. Shaw is said to only be fit after the first international break, which kind of annoys me, to be honest, because he couldn't play last season at all, but got fit for England, trained with them for the entire Euros, played for them, won two games, and then decided to go on holiday. Didn't train for preseason, wasn't part of Man United's preseason at all, and then couldn't make himself available for the Community Shield game, and then simply now is injured again and pulled his calf, according to the official report from the club. And now we have Mazraoui is probably going to fill in at left back, maybe even Diogo Dalot, who we know can play there. Now, speaking of that, let me give you the team that I think Ten Hag could probably start with. Onana, obviously, in goal, our number one. I don't think there's any debate about that. Now, the right back position is interesting because Ten Hag could go with Mazraoui, he could go with Dalot. Either or, he will get the same type of quality going forward and, defensively. Whether you put Dalot on the left back or you put Mazraoui at left back, they're both going to invert from both sides. Dalot can overlap and he can invert. Mazraoui can overlap and he can invert. He's quite comfortable with his left foot playing the ball out from the back as well. So, knowing that the two of them can interchange within the game, it's going to be interesting to see where they start and how they move within their positions in the game as the game goes on. The defensive partnership, in my opinion, has to be De Ligt and Martinez, because I think you will have Euro and De Ligt competing for that right centre-back position. You have Martinez out and out the left centre-back choice, first choice. And of course, we know Johnny Evans can play there because he has the left foot to do so. And of course, Maguire is as a backup. Lindelof is another option, but he's a player that could be out of the door before the end of the transfer window. But that back five will be Onana, in my opinion. The low at right back, De Ligt, Martinez, and Mazraoui, which will allow us to play the ball out from the back much more comfortably and much more better, because the players that are going to be trying to do that have the technical skill and the ability to play with pressure on their backs, to turn and play out from the back, because one, they are all, in my opinion, capable of doing so. Three of the five, in my opinion, all come from the Ajax, team. So they are very, very good at playing the ball on the ground from the back under pressure and when being pressed. Now, before I get to the midfield, let me just get to the attack first of all. Now, I would want Zirkzee to start, as you can see, right? And that's mainly because he is the striker that we signed to come in and rotate, compete, and also play with Hoyland up front when we need a goal, when we are maybe behind in a game, chasing a game. But I would want Zirkzee to start, because it's either you're going to start with Zirkzee or you play with Rashford trying to run in behind. And this is where the problem comes in. Garnacho had an excellent performance against City when he came on in the Community Shield, and you probably would want to have him start as well. But here's the dilemma that Ten Hag has, and it's a very good dilemma in my opinion. Ahmad locked down that right wing position for himself, right? That's how I see it. And I think he should be starting on the right-hand side for Manchester United for the next couple games, because he's the best right winger that we have at the club right now. Of course, Anthony is also there, but he's got a lot of work to do to try and get into the team, let alone start again for Manchester United, in my opinion. I don't think he is good enough for Manchester United. I do have to apologize for the dogs again. I simply just want to just ignore them. They are just very, very irritating. I mean, they bark and howl whenever they feel like it. But anyway, you all can just hear it. I apologize for that noise. Nevertheless, we have to be mindful of the factor that it is important to note that Ten Hag wants to play from the back, on the ground, keeping possession for the entire game, if he can definitely do so, similar to the way City, Barcelona, etc. all play their football. So we definitely want to get to that, but we need the players to do so. That is the most important thing. And without those players, you see the mistakes that are being made by the likes of Harry Maguire. You see the mistakes that are made by Wan-Bissaka, who's now officially a West Ham player. And with all of that, you definitely know that Ten Hag wants to be able to keep possession of the ball for as long as he can within the 90 minutes of the game, to one, dominate the game, but also to have a higher percentage of creating chances. Now, that midfield, last season, it was Casemiro, Mainu, and Bruno, and it didn't work. There was too much space for Casemiro to deal with on his own. Thus, game after game, we got overran in midfield, and Casemiro simply looked past it. But against City, the way we tried to press with a 4-2-4 it was easier for Casemiro to play because there was less space for him to cover, and there were players around him, close to him, able to help him when he was beaten, or if he won the ball, he could easily play it off and start a counter attack for us. Now, of course, against Fulham, you won't say that we are going to be overrun in midfield, but it can happen. That is why when we have the 4-2-4 press and having De Ligt, Martinez, De Lo and Mazraoui as your back four, and Onana, who's a very, very good sweeper keeper, we've seen it, we can be much higher up the pitch, play a much higher line, thus having Casemiro and Mainoo closer to the opposition's box, thus giving Casemiro less space to work with, and it's easier for him to make the tackles, to make the interception, to make the blocks, and of course to kickstart a counter-attack should we win the ball high up the pitch. Now, of course, when our press is beaten, that's where Casemiro struggles because he has to chase back. Now, of course, with Martinez and De Ligt and Mazraoui and De Lo there, they will try and be that bit of a block if Casemiro is beaten, because they will be closer to him than what they were last season. I mean, you remember last season when Casemiro was trying to push up in the field, and the moment he turns and he's beaten, Maguire, Evans, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka are all literally in our defensive box already, and that space is too much and they get overran. But with the way we pressed against City and the way we played against Liverpool in that 3-0 loss in pre-season, we certainly can press much better, and we have showed that our pressing game has improved. So against Fulham, it will be key to see how Ten Hag wants to play with the press and of course with the ball, because Fulham is not going to come and play us off the park. They're not going to try and keep possession. They're going to try and pick us off and try and break on us. We certainly will have more possession of the ball as expected, and we will want to camp in their half, so to say, so that we can put them under constant pressure and get a chance after chance and get the opportunities for the likes of Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad, etc. all to come in and get the chances, Zirkzee, and definitely put those chances away. For me, up front, as you can see, I would put Rashford on the left-hand side, Ahmad on the right, and Zirkzee up front. I know Garnacho had a very good game when he came on against City, but we have to look at the balance of the team. I would want him to compete with Rashford on the left-hand side and probably start ahead of Rashford. But we know Ten Hag is not going to drop Rashford, especially in the first Premier League game of the season. He definitely will start on the left-hand side. I don't think Garnacho might start on the right-hand side, but then again, he might. You don't know what Ten Hag is thinking. I don't know what he is thinking, but we will definitely see what he is thinking when the game does come around on Friday night. But let me know in the comment section, who do you think might be starting, who you want to start the game, and how do you see Ten Hag trying to win this game for us? And of course, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I thank you for those who support the channel, and of course, those who watch the videos all the way until the end. Till we see each other again soon, Red Devils. Enjoy the game, enjoy the weekend. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share and subscribe.